Hello and welcome to Pick a Card Palace. In today's Pick a Card reading, we will be answering the question, how do they feel about you? For this reading, we have three options. Option 1 is the Giant from Jack and the Beanstalk. Option 2 is the Witch from Rapunzel. And option 3 is Snow White from Snow White. Once you have made your selection, you can go down to the description box and there you will find links taking you to each of the individual readings. I'm going to give you time now to make your selection before we get started. If you need more time after that, just pause the video. Okay, hello there, option 1. If you chose this card, the Giant from Jack and the Beanstalk, this will be your reading. So to begin with, I am going to shuffle all the cards and put down all the cards. If you do not wish to watch this segment, go back down to the description box where you will find links taking you directly to the reading portion of this reading. So I'm going to shuffle now, and you can hang with me and watch, or fast forward or skip ahead. Okay, so back to the reading, or rather, let's begin the reading. Option 1, if you chose this card, the Giant from Jack and the Beanstalk, this will be your reading. So this giant here from the story of Jack and the Beanstalk is, well, a giant, an angry person, someone who believes, or actually was, stolen from in the Jack and the Beanstalk story. One of the things that was stolen from this giant, by Jack actually, was the bird here, the hen that laid the golden egg, I think it was. So here we see this giant perhaps coming to defend himself from this theft by Jack. I take it that most of you are familiar with the Jack and the Beanstalk story. If not, maybe I can see if I can tell you a very shortened or truncated version. Jack and the Beanstalk is a fairy tale in which the main character, Jack, is a young man who comes from a poor family. It's just him and his mom. They are so poor, in fact, that one day the mom says, Jack, please take our one and only cow to the market and sell it so that we can have some money to buy food to eat. And instead of doing that, Jack decides to make a different type of investment, and he gives the cow away to some random person who, in exchange for the cow, gives him some supposedly magic beans. And Jack takes the magic beans home and says, hey, Ma, look what I got. And she angrily takes the beans and throws them out of the window because, you know, she was wanting money for food and all she got was some beans. Well, what she didn't know is that these beans were in fact magical, and they sprouted and grew this gigantic beanstalk, which for some reason Jack decided to climb. And he climbed up, and it went way up into the sky, and at the very tippy top of the beanstalk he found a giant castle. And it had all kinds of wonderful things in it, like the hen that laid golden eggs. And so Jack proceeds to steal, something. Even though I think actually in this story, he goes into the castle and there's a kindly woman there who is married to this giant. And she seems to be on Jack's side and is giving him stuff, but her husband, she says, is very mean and angry. And in fact, he did prove to be mean and angry in this story. If you want to find out how the story ends, if somehow you don't know, you can look up the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, but I won't belabor any of that for people who are here for a tarot reading. I wanted to give you that background in order to say that in this reading, your person, the one on your mind, is being represented by this giant, this angry person who feels like something was taken from him, something valuable. I don't know what your situation was, option one. This is not a story about a gentle giant, a giant with a heart of gold. This is the story of, like I said, an angry, violent person. And I'm not saying your person is violent, but they might be angry. At least they are coming through right now in this reading as being angry. And I don't know if they're just angry about life because they feel defensive and somebody took something from them, or they're afraid that somebody's going to take something from them, or just what it, or maybe they have that attitude towards you. Maybe they feel like you might steal something from them. Could it be their heart? I don't know. I guess we'll see. Or maybe they're just more materialistic and think that you could be taking their worldly goods after leading them on, or something like that. I just had a reading like that. I can't remember, but it was probably released in December of 2025. So you can go back and look at videos I released in December of 2025 if you're interested in this. If this story ends up being your story and you want to hear perhaps a story that's very similar to this, check out that reading. And I'm sorry I can't remember which one. If I do, though, I'll link it in the description. Anyway, moving on. Let's see now more specifically how your person is currently feeling about you. So first up, we have a cheap motel. No charge for the cockroaches. Okay. A cheap motel. Now, why do they feel like that? Is it that they feel like they are so beneath you that your entertaining them would be like going and staying at a cheap motel? Is that what this is here? Or is it less flatteringly that, again, I'm being drawn to the word cheap because we were just talking about worldly goods and valuables, and this person being, afraid that someone's going to take something from them or something like that. So this could have something to do with money or material things. This person's feelings towards you might be angry about some material things. Perhaps they perceive that you were trying to use them or cheat them some kind of way out of something. But yeah, take it as it resonates. Maybe this story will become more clear as we go on, because I sure am surprised so far. Okay, let's see what else. Okay, so we have the lady. Expectation. And the house. Okay, so it seems that they believe, and this is their perspective, please don't shoot the messenger or whatever, but they believe that you had expectations of them that pertained to their material things, that you were expecting to get something from them other than love and support and affection, or I should say emotional support. It seems they feel that you were wanting stuff. Specifically, I see motel here, and then we've got this big house here, and I talked about how the giant lives in a castle with all kinds of amazing things in it. So this seems to be focusing on property of the immovable type, real estate. So they feel that you were hoping for something material from them. Or maybe that you still are. And they obviously are defensive about it. Again, please don't shoot the messenger. This is coming through as their perspective and how they feel. Whether it's based in reality or not, this is how this person is feeling. Okay, let's continue. So we also have fuzzy. fuzzy, downy, unclear, and furry. Reversed, we have important, significant, substantial, and momentous. So I guess it's appropriate that we would get the card fuzzy when, honestly, as a reader, I am quite surprised that this reading is going this way. Option 1. But the feelings here are unclear. And I must say, yeah, that certainly fits, because it seems like the reading is focusing on this person's beliefs about why you are or were entertaining them in the first place. But I'm also getting a sense here that maybe this person is not clear about your motives, though they seem to have an inkling about what they really think is going on. This person is not sure what your connection is going to end up being or how they're going to view it in the future. They're unsure. Okay, so we also have the birds, the ship, and bouquet. All right, so they feel like something changed. They feel like you changed. And this was an unpleasant surprise to them. This is why they're not really sure how to feel about you and your connection. They also seem to feel that should you not get what you want, what you're after materially from them, that you are likely to move on, or that maybe this is a past tense thing. Maybe this has already happened. Maybe this is someone you're no longer having dealings with. I don't know. I guess different people watching this will have different scenarios going on. So, take what resonates, leave the rest. But yeah, there is, this person is very much questioning you and your association and its future, if it has one, or what happened if it is no longer a relationship that is ongoing. But let's continue. We also have sitting on Santa's lap. Careful, dude. You don't know where that Santa's been. So, again, we got this theme of someone giving someone else stuff. Sitting on Santa's lap, what do you do there? You ask Santa to give you all the things on your Christmas list. So this person feels like, again, you have some expectation of them to give you stuff. But again, there's a sense of they don't know how to take it. They don't know how to take you. This is all making them, they seem very suspicious of you and your motives. And again, let me say, this may not be the reality, but it is their subjective view of the situation. So let's see what else. So we have nativity, enterprise, and thief. Okay. So this is more along, maybe it's more explaining what's going on, sort of, here, than telling us how this person is feeling about you in this line here. Because I'm getting here that this person, for whatever reason, has a belief about their life. They're like, they believe that it's their fate to have people take stuff from them. I mean, for them to work hard and be industrious and have things and be able to get material wealth or objects or what have you, and then people just come in and they swoop in and just steal it or take it away from them. Like I can only imagine, but perhaps this person has had this happen to them in the past. As I was saying before, maybe their feelings about you are a projection onto you about how someone in the past has behaved towards them, and now they are just wary and suspicious of everyone because of what that other person did, or because of what maybe there's more than one other person in their past who did something like this or who had this attitude. Okay, I'm going to see if I can get some advice for you, option 1, before we end this, because, well, let's just say this wasn't a run-of-the-mill type of how do they feel reading. So, what is the advice for option 1 regarding this situation, this person? What is the advice? Okay, we have rising tide. And let me see, let me get another card. Sorrow. And I'll just look at the bottom of the deck. Loneliness. Okay, this is not really advice for you. I think this is just, again, an explanation of what the heck is going on here. The cards are indicating that this person who you're inquiring about is in this head space or heart space right now because they are just getting overly emotional about their life situation. They're feeling a lot of despair, perhaps, about their life situation. And again, it could be that someone has done this thing to them before that they seem to think you are doing or have done or want to do to them. But the cards indicate, that this only puts them in this kind of loop, right? I mean, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you say, people never really care about me, they just care about the stuff I can give them, and so every time someone comes into my life, they're just there to take from me. Well, what happens? Maybe that energy, that thought, attracts people who will play that very role out for you that you were expecting. And so even though it doesn't have to be your continuing reality, it becomes your continuing reality. And like I said, there's this kind of loop that just keeps playing over and over and over again. So the cards are not so much giving you advice here as just saying that this person has an issue, and so they're only going to end up alone if they don't deal with this issue appropriately. And really, it probably has little or nothing to do with you specifically, so the cards aren't even giving you any advice. Okay, option 1, that is your reading. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm going to end your reading here now and move on to option 2. All right, hello, option 2. If you chose this card, the Witch from Rapunzel, this will be your reading. Or actually, first I'm going to shuffle and lay down all the cards. Then we will start the reading. So if you don't want to watch the shuffling, go back to the description box and you'll see a link that'll take you to the beginning of the actual reading. Otherwise, hang on. Hang with me. Okay. Okay, hello again, option 2, for those who skipped ahead. This will be your reading. Again, the question we're answering today is, how is the person on your mind currently feeling about you? Now, you chose the Witch from Rapunzel. Most of you are probably familiar with the fairy tale Rapunzel, but if you're not, let me see if I can summarize it fairly briefly. So there once was a young couple, a husband and wife, And one day the wife said, "Honey, can you get me some Rapunzel?" Apparently, Rapunzel is a type of leafy green plant that used to be popularly eaten in Europe. I'm not sure that it still is. But anyway, it's kind of like spinach leaf type of plant, but also I think the roots have these bulbs on them that are like radishes, and so people were eating the leaves and the bulbs apparently back when this story was developed. But anyway, so the wife asks her husband to get her some Rapunzel, the plant, and so he goes and for some reason decides to take some Rapunzel out of the garden of a witch. And this is our witch here. So the witch, of course, catches the husband and tells him, I think she threatens him and says, well, if you don't give me your firstborn child to raise, then I will turn you into a frog or an ant, or I don't remember the exact thing. If you do, you can put it in the comments. But anyway, that's not really the point here. The point is that the young couple ended up giving their firstborn child, a baby girl, to this witch because the husband did that to get out of feeling the wrath of this witch after having, well, it sounds like stolen, actually, her plant. So anyway, they give the baby to the witch, and the witch puts the baby in a tower and lets the baby's hair grow really long. And whenever the witch would come to visit this baby who was growing into a young woman, the witch would call out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." And it's so long that, you know, the young woman could throw it out the window in a long braid, and the witch could like climb up the hair braid and get into the tower and visit with her adopted child. So the story goes on from there, but you can look it up if you're really curious about how the story ends. The point here, though, is that because you chose this card here, I'm thinking that you are the witch. In this person's mind, this person you came to this reading for, you perhaps made some kind of demand on them, or it could be that your person is the child here, which is interesting because you are the adoptive kind of adoptive parent, and this person is like the child whom you adopted and locked in a tower. Maybe your person feels kind of like option one, but totally, hopefully not like option one, okay? Like if you did not feel attracted to option one, I don't recommend that you go watch it. But there's a sense here that your person may feel, on the one hand, supported and nurtured by you, but on the other hand, trapped by you, and that somehow the circumstances of your coming together maybe hurt someone else, or you end up looking like the bad guy or gal or the wicked witch in the situation. I don't know if maybe for some small percentage of you this might actually be an age gap relationship. It may be that your person is younger than you and you would be perceived by others as quote unquote robbing the cradle, something like that. That won't be for all of you, even though some of you might actually resonate with the idea that you are either literally older or just by maturity level older, like in your mind, psychologically older than this person. And this person maybe is psychologically, if not literally, younger and immature enough to not be maybe so ready and comfortable with settling down. And maybe that this person, if this is your story, feels a bit tied down, perhaps, potentially. So take what resonates there. There's a lot of possibilities here, I think. But we will start there. Now let's dig into these cards and find out more about how this person is feeling about you, option 2. So we have 800-pound gorilla. Where does an 800-pound gorilla sit? Anywhere it wants. Okay, that's a strong beginning, option 2, because this person feels like you are a force to be reckoned with. We already said that I think you're the witch figure here. And so that already conveys and suggests somebody who's got power, or at least power over your person. That's their perception. Power that maybe they don't understand. But that power is like unto an 800-pound gorilla. You know, one does not simply get rid of an 800-pound gorilla. One does not simply ask it to leave. I mean, I suppose you could, but it probably wouldn't do any good to do that. And again, the sentiment of this card here is that, you know, the 800-pound gorilla sits anywhere it wants, okay? Because, like, it is in control. So this person feels like you are in control here. You hold the cards. You are the power broker here. And they feel more like maybe this little baby who doesn't have so much agency, is just being swept along. And I don't want to make it sound negative, even though they might have some kind of negative connotation to it. You know, there might be. I mean, honestly, as I told you before, I mean, I think that there's kind of a duality here. On the one hand, there is definitely a feeling of support and connection and probably affection and love. But on the other hand, you know, the problematic stuff. Okay. So let's see what else we can find out. Okay, we have prison, falseness, and friend. Okay, so this person is maybe not showing you the truth of how they really feel, or the truth of the state of things in their life. They may be coming across here like withdrawn, but they actually are very desirous of your company, your support, to just hang out and have good times with you. So it seems that, again, you have more of an effect on them than perhaps the appearance of things would suggest. Okay, let's see what else we've got here about how they feel about you. We've got out of control, rebellious, unruly, and uncontrollable. Reversed, we have stretchy, elastic, rubbery, and flexible. Alrighty, so they feel out of control. And that makes sense based on what we've been saying, is that they feel like the baby here, the baby Rapunzel. You are the one in control. They are out of control. And interestingly, we also have rebellious and unruly. I think they are maybe trying to rebel in however small a way they can, by faking the funk, making you think something that isn't so. Maybe that's all they feel they can do here to have some sort of power in this situation. Okay, we also have the Ring, the Mountain, and the Scythe. Okay, now you may recall, you probably do if you were listening to the earlier portion of this reading, that I mentioned one scenario in which the two of you getting together might be somehow painful or hurtful for someone. So now we have here this idea, again, more explicitly. And again, this may or may not be your story. This is a possibility for what this is conveying here, this line. But it seems that it fits in with the idea that you or this person on your mind may be in a committed relationship with someone else. And it would take severing ties with that person, breaking up with that person, ending that relationship for them to be with you. But remember, we said this person doesn't feel like they're in control of the situation. Also remember, I think we said that, this person may be withdrawn. And you get the impression that means they want nothing to do with you, when in reality, they very much want something to do with you. It could be that if this is your story, that there is this third party here, that's why. That's why the person is withdrawn, because they feel like things are beyond their control. They feel on the one hand like you are in control, and also their circumstances are such that they, for whatever reason, don't feel like they have what it would take to end that other relationship for whatever reason. But there's also a sense like they want to do something to get out of this. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place, aren't they? So like they would want to do something to get out of it. And maybe that's the feeling being conveyed here, is that this is on their mind to do. Now, it also could be that this person feels like, and let's just take another scenario. Let's say this is an age gap relationship, and you are the older person, and you would be perhaps demonized by somebody for moving forward in this relationship. It could be that this person feels like it would be an obstacle to overcome. I mean, if the two of you, or maybe you, they wanted something more formal, maybe this person would be okay with, I don't know, a situationship. And by the way, I guess that could be the case whether this person is currently in another relationship or if they're not. But maybe this person would be okay with something that wasn't so official and well defined because of the social implications, perhaps. But they feel like you would reject any such setup. And again, that puts them in a situation in which they are not in control, and this could be leading to the lack of action, forward movement, whatever the case may be here. But let's move on. We also have yoga pants, flexible, form-fitting exercise pants, making yoga fun for everybody. Now it's interesting because this card here we have stretchy, elastic, and flexible. But here we have, that was reversed. Here we have it upright, flexible. So on the one hand, there's a sense of not being flexible, but then on the other hand, there's a sense of being flexible. So it could be that this person believes that you either go back and forth or would go back and forth, or that, you know, you are both flexible and inflexible. Like you have certain things that you would be okay with and certain other ones you would not. And maybe the ones you'd be okay with versus the ones you would not wouldn't be so obvious. You know, like you might, for example, say, okay, yeah, I can live without us, say, getting married, like eventually. But I absolutely refuse to live with you, cohabitate, if we're not going to be married. And so it's like, wait a minute. So you're basically canceling out one thing or another. It's like, okay, so we never lived together if we never got married. And this person might feel like that's contradictory, you know, because, like, I mean, aren't you basically saying that the relationship really can't progress unless there's marriage in the future? You know, so that's just an example. I hope you follow it. But the idea here is that this person feels like you maybe would have some hard for them to understand requirements versus things you'd be willing to compromise on. Okay, let's continue. So we have the Star of the Woman, Discovery, and Goodwill. Okay, so this person feels like you are someone who is curious about things, and that you're like a researcher or an inquirer. You know, you're an inquiring mind that wants to know, as they used to say about, what was it, National Enquirer? That was a long time ago, though, I think. Anyway, yeah, they see you as having kind of, you know, the heart of an investigator. That you want to dig into things and find out the truth. And they think that you are lucky in that you find what you're looking for. You know, that you find answers that are, at least eventually, you find answers that are satisfactory to you, that give you a sense of maybe peace. Specifically here, I'm thinking in terms of spirituality or religion. This person feels like you are somebody who has peace about maybe the big questions of life, like why are we here and what are we doing really, at a more from a higher perspective. And I think that ties into the yoga pants. The person may feel that you have some spiritual practices, something to that effect, that ground you in this belief system that gives you, as I said, the peace and sense of certainty about the knowledge that you have, and here it be spiritual knowledge, your spiritual beliefs. That's interesting. Not sure, it doesn't really tie in with the other stuff, but okay. Just a nice tidbit there at the end. All right. So, option 2, this is your reading. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm going to move on now to option 3. Okay, hello there, option 3. If you chose Snow White from Snow White, this will be your reading. I am going to shuffle the cards and put them all down first before I start doing the actual reading. So if you don't want to see this part, you can go back to the description box and find the link that will take you directly to the reading part of this reading. Otherwise, you can hang with me, watch me shuffle. Okay, hello again, option 3. So you chose Snow White from the Snow White fairy tale. I believe that in this reading, you are being represented by Snow White. For those of you who are not familiar with the story, let me see, I'll try to recap it. So, once upon a time, there was, I think this is probably a wealthy man who's married and he has a daughter, and his wife dies. So then he remarries. He marries as his second wife this beautiful woman who's also very vain, apparently, because she has a magical mirror that she likes to talk to. So she'll go and look into the mirror and say, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" And the mirror would say, "Well, of course you are the fairest of them all." And this continued for some time until one day, maybe after some years went by, she asked her magic mirror the same old question, and the mirror answered something different. She said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" And the mirror said, "Well, Snow White is the fairest of them all." And Snow White, I don't think I mentioned, was actually the daughter of the man, the wealthy man we started with, who became a widow and then remarried. So basically, Snow White's stepmother was enraged when her very own trusty magic mirror started saying that Snow White, and not she, was the fairest in the land. So this perhaps somewhat mentally ill person decided she had to get rid of the competition, this Snow White. So she ordered one of the servants to take Snow White away, guess into the woods or something, and kill her. But the good news, I guess you might say, for Snow White is that this person did not follow orders. This servant did not kill her, but instead just kind of took her way out into the woods and just kind of let her go. Said, "Okay, well, good luck, Snow White." And so, unbeknownst at first to the crazy woman with the mirror, Snow White lived on. She eventually found a friendly household of 7 dwarves who took her in. Is this right? I think this is right. Yeah, this is right. Okay, sorry. And so the evil stepmother thought that she had gotten rid of her enemy, so she triumphantly returned to her magic mirror and asked again, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" And the mirror said, "Well, it's still Snow White." And this lady was beside herself. She could not believe it. She's like, "I was tricked. Snow White lives on. I must stop her." So apparently, she dresses up like an old beggar or something, and she wanders around like a crazy person, I guess, searching and searching for Snow White. And since this is a fairy tale, she does find Snow White. Snow White does not recognize her because she's dressed up like an old beggar. But when she finds Snow White chilling at the abode of the friendly 7 dwarfs, the old beggar offers Snow White an apple, but the apple is poisoned. Snow White, of course, does not know that it's poisoned, and Snow White eats the apple or takes a bite of it or whatever, and she immediately falls into some kind of like coma or something. If you want to know the rest of the story, you can, but I need to go that far so you would understand kind of our context here. As you can see, Snow White is taking a bite of the apple. So, as I said before, dear viewer, you, I think, are Snow White in this scenario. Your person sees you as Snow White. This is how they feel. They feel that you are the fairest of them all. They also feel like you have enemies, perhaps because of that. Your beauty and charm and just overall attractiveness means that you got some haters. And your person may feel like you need to be protected from these haters. So, okay. Now let's look at some cards. So first up we have country music encompassing styles such as Western swing, honky tonk, bluegrass, and rockabilly. Should mention a pickup truck and a dog named Bo. Okay, so, well, firstly, maybe your person feels like you like country music. Maybe you do like country music. This is coming through for some reason how they feel about you. I don't know. But for that does not apply, I think, to everybody watching this. In fact, probably not most. But this person here may be highlighting the idea that you are maybe like or they feel about you how the singer in a country music song feels. And I'm thinking of the genre, which I don't know that it's popular anymore in country music, but, and this is not the official name of it either, I don't think, but I remember it being referred to years ago as There's a Tear in My Beer country music. So these songs are very sad songs about lost love and unrequited love and problems you're having with your love, etc., etc. And I guess this is a whole like genre or say subgenre of country music once upon a time. And so it could be that your person is feeling very sad about you, very dramatically sad. But let's see what else we can get here. Okay, we have Messenger, Joyfulness, and Desperate with Jealousy. Okay, so that's interesting. The Desperate with Jealousy card. You can see that there. This is showing a clear triangle here, love triangle. It could be that your person feels like there are not only haters around hating on you, but other suitors giving them competition and they don't like it. So they want to rush in and sweep you off your feet in order to kind of take you away from those other suitors or get you away from all of that. Because they want you for themselves. But we were talking about their sadness here. And this card is literally desperate with jealousy. So the sadness and the over-the-top emotion might have something to do with this idea that they have lost you, and specifically that they have lost you or will lose you to someone else. Okay, let's see what else. Okay, we have dirty, unclean, soiled, and impure. Reversed, we have fabulous, marvelous, wonderful, and incredible. Okay, I don't think that they feel like you're dirty. I think they feel like they're dirty. Don't know if they did something to make them feel dirty, but that was my first thought. Have they done something? And maybe that's why they're sad, because there's someone else moving in on you, or they perceive that as a threat or a possibility. Or could it be that they feel that they are just like a bug on your shoe or something, like you're so great and wonderful and beautiful and they're just a dirty mop in a bucket with brown water in it. Okay, let's see what else we got here. We have tree, mice, and the moon. Okay, yeah, I think that this person, again, we have the over the top emotion coming out. This person's growing increasingly distressed and anxious here. And it could be because their own feelings are so overwhelming, their own over the top desire to be with you is actually um, scary in a way because they're so afraid that they have already lost you, I think. So I don't think that they necessarily, uh, I don't know whether they're coming through just so far as uh, feeling like any confidence that they would be able to win your heart or win you back, as the case may be, compete with these other people, whether they exist or not. This is your person's perspective, which is, of course, subjective, so it may not be grounded in reality. So keep that in mind. So let's see what else we got here. We got granny panties. There's a reason they're called unmentionables. Okay, so I don't know if any of you are here from option 2. If you couldn't decide between option 2 and option 3, you might want to go back to option 2 and have a listen if you haven't already. But of course, only after you've finished listening to this one, because you might find something, resonating there, or some messages there for you. With the granny panties, I sense there's some anxiety here. There's a performance anxiety here. Did I say anxious already? I don't know, but the anxiety is right here. This. And that, actually. And we already talked about the over-the-top emotions and how they seem to be really down on themselves. But not only that, they feel somehow like they would be inadequate for you in the bedroom. They feel like you maybe are more experienced, or because you have all these suitors, you can command the best. And if they are judged by you to be less than A plus, that you might drop them like a hot potato and go off and be with somebody else, the next person in line, in a long line of many people waiting to get the chance to be with you. Let's see what else. We've got presence, sterility, and slowness. Or some kind of blockage. Oh. So they feel like you are a high value person. They feel like you are beautiful and all kinds of other superlatives. Well, I guess beautiful isn't most beautiful. You are the most beautiful. You are the most this and that and other. And that's what I mean by superlatives. You're the most wonderful, the most beautiful, the most talented, the smartest, the funniest, the coolest, etc., etc. This person thinks you're the bee's knees. But nothing is really happening. I mean, they have to, I don't know, I think they'd have to dig deep to overcome all of their anxiety and misgivings here to come forward and tell you how they really feel and what they really think of you. let's see if we can get some advice for you in this situation here, option 3. So what is the advice for option 3 considering this situation with this person here? Okay, we have secrets kept. And sorrow. That came out in option 1, I think. And at the bottom of the deck we have the hunt. This is interesting. I don't think this is, I don't know that this is advice to you. I think this is more commentary here on the situation. I think it's indicating here that this person likes to feel like they are capable and desirable, and that if they approach someone that it'll be a sure thing. Therefore, they are not maybe so inclined to approach you because they feel like there's a question mark as to whether you would entertain them. I don't know if this is entertain them again or entertain them at all. I don't know what your status is here. There's, like I mentioned before, was there something before and then it ended? Or I don't know if I mentioned that before or not, actually. Not in this reading. I think I told you to go back to, what was it, option 2? Was it option 2? I did mention option 2, but it's probably, I don't know. There's some overlap with these 3 readings today. But anyway, yeah, I think the cards are just trying to indicate here for you, option 3, that this person will need to work this out, these feelings, and come towards you in confidence. I mean, in their own confidence, with self-confidence. If anything is going to really, like, materialize here. I don't think there's anything you can really do, because if you come towards them or try to initiate with them, they would not find that compelling enough for them to take a chance. They would be too anxious, too nervous. So you're kind of in a darned if you do and darned if you don't kind of situation. Or maybe I shouldn't say darned if you don't. But yeah, unless this person has their own glow up or whatever it is that it would take, yeah, they're not in a frame of mind here to pursue you. Not at this time. I mean, this may change in the future. This is just how they're feeling at the time when you're watching this video. So, okay, I'm going to leave it here, option 3. Thank you very much for joining me. And until next time, and I do hope there will be a next time, goodbye.